All right, everybody, let's get today's program started. Good afternoon, folks. Welcome to the Lunchtime Discovery Series. It's good to be with you again for another edition of the program, as always. My name is Chris Smith. I'll be your host today, like most times, and I'm excited for today's program. Now, the Lunchtime Discovery Series is brought to you by the folks at the Office of Environmental Education within the Department of Environmental Quality, and it's a broadcast service of us here at the North Carolina Museum of Natural Sciences, working together to bring you interesting people doing interesting work out there in the worlds of science, nature, conservation, art, even more. We go far afield all of the time. We're looking all over the world for really great stories to bring you today. Most often, though, we're keeping it pretty close to home right here in North Carolina, which makes it that much more interesting and exciting, I think, because we really do have groundbreaking, incredible, and innovative stuff happening right here in our state. And of course, the month of March is also Women's History Month. So all month long, we've been bringing these incredible, innovative stories and insights and knowledge to you from fascinating women in North Carolina and beyond. And we're going to do that today as well. Everybody, let me introduce you to Dr. Terri Long. Dr. Long is a professor of plant biology and the platform director for education and workforce development for the North Carolina Plant Sciences Initiative at NC State University, and joins me now. Hi, Terri.
Hi, Chris.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much. Should I just go ahead on and get started, or?
Yeah, if you wanted to go ahead and pull up your slideshow, we can jump right into it. I want to make sure you've got plenty of time to share these stories today about agriculture and agribusiness. The one fact that I have is that North Carolina makes the second most amount of sweet potatoes in the country. Is that true?
Yes, we are the #1 producer of sweet potatoes in the country, and we take great pride in our sweet potato research. And I'll tell you a little bit about one of our sweet potato stories later on in the talk. But yes, thank you so much, Chris, for inviting me here today. It's my pleasure to share a little bit about some of the work that we're doing here at the North Carolina Plant Sciences Initiative. And so the title of my talk is Germinating a Thriving Workforce. And that's because I think a lot about workforce development as it relates to agriculture. And so before I delve into the specific details, though, I wanted to point out that North Carolina is an amazing place for agriculture. We have over 90 crop varieties produced in North Carolina, making us the nation's third most diverse agricultural economy in the entire country. About each year, over $1 billion annually is contributed to the economy from agriculture and agribusiness. So this makes agriculture and agribusiness the #1 driver for North Carolina's economy. We have an amazing, rich wealth of opportunities for doing research. We have a multitude of field stations, research stations, multiple universities who all work together to think about new technologies in agriculture and agribusiness. However, despite the fact that this is an amazing place for agriculture, some consider that agriculture itself is under siege, right? So rural America continues to see many young people leaving the area because of real or perceived limitations in how far they can go in their careers and availability of a livable wage. And so this quote is from Jackie Thomas from J&J Thompson Farm, basically saying there's no one around to do the work. In this article that I recently read from the Triangle Business Journal. So a lot of young people are leaving the area. So this means that a lot of our farmers rely on individuals from other countries as part of the H-2A Temporary Agricultural Workers Program. So this is an amazing program that really helps to provide a lot of the labor for a lot of the agriculture that's happening here in North Carolina. However, recently there's been a required 7.7 increase in the ag worker wage. And because of this, our farmers are seeing an increases in the cost that it takes for them to be productive farmers. So there's higher material costs, dwindling labor, and lower production. So this makes the gap between the availability of food and the demand for food even wider. And so because of these changes, according to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, there's been over 7% increase in food prices from just a year ago. And so in this past January, in fact, the food prices reached their highest ever level since 2011. And so the reason why the food's costs are rising is in part due to labor shortage. And so not addressing this labor shortage issue is really going to significantly affect what happens when we go to the grocery store. And it's making us become more and more reliant upon food from other countries. So much so that if you look at the trend and the amount of foods that we're importing and exporting, you see that 2023 was the first time basically ever in history that the United States reported actually importing more foods than we actually export. So you see the blue line is the number that we export and the orange line is the number that we import. And so for the first time, we see that we are again importing more ag foods than we export. And a lot of people are really concerned about this. Some people think it's an issue, some people think it's not really an issue. But one thing that we think about is how can we create new technologies to try to make sure that we don't have to become so reliant upon other countries for our food. And so as we think about this, we think about here at the PSI, the farmer of the future. So in the future, we'll see, it's predicted that we'll see more unmanned aircrafts, unmanned robotic tractors, such as seen here in the images, unmanned ground vehicles, robotics, data analytics, novel engineering of sensors so that you can get really dynamic information about what's happening in plants and on plants and in the soil. More reliance upon climate modeling. So a lot of big data analytics to analyze and predict how the climate's going to change in the future. And so all of this will hopefully help farmers be able to manage crop production more sustainably, while also doing it in the face of the fact that there are fewer and fewer people who want to really do the really difficult grunt labor of hand picking things and harvesting things. Again, just want to emphasize that there's a shift that's happening on a lot of farms, moving towards more robotics, away from more hand, some of the hard labor. And so as we think about this, we're going to see farms move from what you see there on the left to more so what we see here in this recent video that I found on BBC News.
Back now with our series AI Revolution and how artificial intelligence is hard at work on some farms. Robots doing the work of dozens of people. Jake Ward has our story.
Okay, yes, it's a killer robot with an AI brain. But hear me out. It kills weeds. On a 2,000-acre organic farm in Central California, this $1.2 million machine does the work of 30 people 24 hours a day.
The machine is thinking. It's learning. It's understanding what it's seeing.
What AI is great at is telling the difference between things. In this case, the difference between chard and a weed, and then killing the weeds with lasers. CEO Paul Mikesell has invented a system that fries weeds too small for a human hand to grab, in bursts that last only milliseconds. The field smells like burnt popcorn.
The whole trick here is the lasers disrupt the cellular cycle within the plant with heat energy.
It takes a rack of servers to recognize 40 crops and 80 types of weeds.
This machine has got more computing power than 24 Teslas in it. It's essentially a mobile data center.
The farm's owner says the laser weeder will pay for itself in a single year, and that it solves his single biggest problem, which is finding workers.
We're just not getting the influx of new folks that want to come in to this deal. Now, in a job like behind us on this tractor where someone could be making, a really good wage, $30 an hour, he's got a laptop, that's a little easier to find that person.
Labor unions say they want tech to make the work easier as long as we don't simply toss people aside after decades of brutal labor.
To the extent that automation can make life better for farm workers by making those jobs less physically demanding, safer, more dignified, we welcome it. Our concern is that automation will allow employers to basically discard them.
AI is spreading through farming. There's the broccoli bot built by Oregon College students to harvest the vegetable. And John Deere has been plowing ahead with several kinds of AI technology. For Paul Mikesell, it's about more than just zapping weeds.
The data that comes out of these images will be incredibly valuable for farmers to be able to predict what's going to happen in the future based on past action.
So you're not just killing weeds,
but
actually harvesting data that we can use to make crops better.
Yeah, that's right. If you talk to any farmer, they'll tell you it's not just about the data, but about the insight that you can get from the data.
Mike Zell expects AI will allow robots to work in fields and factories in entirely new ways.
The capabilities are too great, and the wave is only starting right now.
Jake Ward, NBC News, Soledad, California.
Thanks.
Yeah, so I like showing that video because it really kind of helps depict the direction that some of the technology is going and how it could significantly impact the workforce and the types of skills that the workforce will need to have as they move into the future for farming itself. And so
Back.
there will be, over 5 million jobs available in the agriculture and food sector within the next few years. Right? And this is because the workforce is aging. And so this leads to the question of what sorts of skill sets, what sort of talents, what sort of interests does this workforce need to have in the future? And as I said before, a lot of knowledge and utilization of robotics, engineering, computer sciences may be required as we move into the future. However, there's lots of concern because in rural North Carolina, over 60% of residents in some areas may have no post-secondary education. All right, and so this is in part due to the fact that the decline in tobacco production and manufacturing has left a lot of people who worked in that industry without a post-secondary degree. And so these workers are, may be unprepared for more skilled job opportunities in agriculture. And so this is concerning because, the demand and skill for things like, for example, understanding of how to use artificial intelligence is growing 71% annually in recent years. And so the projected, need for understanding and utilizing AI is growing twice as fast as any other occupation. And so the United States, including North Carolina, is really facing challenges in terms of how to develop and how to train students and how to train workers to be able to work within an AI-based workforce. And this, for example, is particularly problematic in the ag industry. So a lot of the ag industry may or may not have a lot of training in the use of AI. And then there's limited farming domain, as people who are working in the AI arena will attest to. A lot of them don't understand and have a greater understanding for what are the needs of farmers, right? So lack a limited farming domain knowledge when developing AI tools in agriculture. So there's increasing interest in utilizing AI and utilizing robotics in agriculture. How do we make sure that we train the workforce to be prepared for that? So in comes the North Carolina Plant Sciences Initiative. And so one of our visions is to really create a healthier, sustainable, and more prosperous future through plant science innovation. And so what we really do is work to using interdisciplinary team-based science, partnership, and talents to solve grand challenges in agriculture, some of which require AI, robotics, and a variety of other tools. The Plant Sciences Initiative is directed by Adrienne Percy, but there are 5 platform directors who focus on kind of the different areas that really cultivate and sustain the vision for the Plant Sciences Initiative. So Ross Utsani, she's a faculty in my department who thinks about the plant improvement platform. Chris Reberg-Horton, who focuses on resilient agriculture systems. Kranos Williams, who focuses on data-driven plant sciences. Myself, I think a lot about education and workforce development, and Rachel Van, extension, outreach, engagement. Ross is a professor of synthetic and systems biology and plant microbial biology. Chris is the Kellogg Distinguished Professor in Sustainable Community-Based Food Systems in the Department of Crop and Soil Sciences. Kranos is a professor, Goodnight, a Distinguished Professor of Ag Analytics in the Department of Electrical and Computer Engineering. Myself, I'm a professor in the Department of Plant Microbial Biology. And Rachel Van is the assistant professor and soybean extension specialist in the Department of Crop and Soil Sciences. So I went through that to show you that there are the diversity of the faculty that are thinking about the mission of the Plant Sciences Initiative really expands across the campus. And so the plant improvement platform directed by Ross Utsani is really focused on driving innovative science and technology that expands, discovery opportunities across the plant sciences fields to deliver more applied solutions. Right, so we've developed some funding opportunities to drive student and faculty engagement with the PSI. We work to establish an environment that drives collision between plant breeders and fundamental researchers, because there is a divide between what fundamental researchers do and plant research and plant biologists here, for example, who work in labs, do very fundamentally different things. And really focus on driving engagement between our faculty, students, and industry as well. So we think a lot about our industry partners. So Chris runs our Resilient Ag Systems platform. So its vision is to really serve as a leader in driving research and discovery that creates more resilient food systems, right? And helps think about the work that we do as it relates to natural environments and communities in North Carolina. And so he works on establishing the PSI as a leader in agriculture among industry, federal, and community partners, positioning the makerspace as a community of practice for NC State. So we have an amazing makerspace and a makerspace director, Andrea Montez, who works with our faculty across campus to create new tools and instruments that people might be able to use as part of the PSI. And really focusing on connecting the work that we do here in the building with a lot of work that's happening as it relates to natural environment communities across the university and the state. Again, Kratos runs our data-driven plant sciences platform. So he really thinks about data acquisition, data management, and data analytics so that we can discover and really do innovative things and translate what we do in the lab to the field and beyond. Again, he's working with Andrea in the makerspace as a way to develop new technologies based upon the data that we get in the field. He also leads the development of new solutions and integration of existing solutions for storing and analyzing large-scale data sets and data repositories. And he also focuses on increasing accessibility of data science tools and training plant scientists and researchers to think about data. And so I want to show this next video as an indication of some of the work that other people in the plant sciences, who are part of the Plant Sciences Initiative, are working on and thinking about as it relates to data.
How do I store my data? How is it classified? What is the security implications of it? We have researchers that are in the building, but we also have researchers that are in the field. So what we're trying to do is create the capability to where compute, storage, and transit can operate seamlessly and effortlessly no matter where you are. Today I may be sitting in this room. Tomorrow I may be 300 miles away working at the Mountain Port Research Extension Center. We're super happy to have Jacob on board. So Jacob is going to be architecting the back-end data frameworks that we'll need, because once the data comes, right, it's just very undefined sometimes, and so there has to be some kind of methodology to organize it, to transcript it, to transpose it, to process it, to make it make sense, to turn it into insights, right? Because the goal is to turn those insights into action. The ability to, model phenotyping inside the plant sciences building, to train the machine learning models to be able to be more accurate when they're in the field is actually pretty cool. So to see a tractor driving down the middle of a field and automatically sorting and identifying weed types and varieties is pretty cool. I think what's really made our IT group really successful is the fact that we try to, as much as we can, immerse ourselves into the actual research.
And so Javon Smith is actually our IT specialist here at PSI. He also works as a part of the CAL's IT team. And so what he does is he works with a lot of our researchers at their field stations to make sure that we have the cyber infrastructure to be able to collect large scale data sets. And so then, as he was saying, we can take that data and then we can transfer it to knowledge, and we can hopefully make better decisions about what crops to apply, what sort of treatments to apply, and how to prepare for changes in weather and things like that. So he works really closely with our growers, but he has his background is in information technology. So we spend a lot of time thinking about how to collaborate between our plant scientists and our engineers and mathematicians to make sure that we can collect data and be able to use that data most efficiently. And so some of the images that he showed you was his work that's happening out in the field stations, and some of the images that we also show actually images of plants that we can actually process changes in for example, how they reflect light. We can take that information and be able to make conclusions about how well or how poorly the plants are growing across an entire field. Because what's happening in one area of a field can vary greatly across just even a small area. So being able to do large scale phenotyping, even with satellite data, is something that we think a lot about.
How do I store?
And so in general, our research focuses on everything from robotics and molecular biology to multi-scale modeling and high throughput phenotyping, sensor development, pest resilient management, computer vision, and so many more, so many other things. We also think about, ag economics. And so that kind of gives you a little bit, a bit of a flavor for the research that's happening here at the as part of the PSI. When we first started, there was the university and some of our stakeholders put together funding to really kind of drive several projects that were really kind of the heart of the Plant Sciences Initiative. And one of them includes the Plant Aid Project. So this was a project in which we brought together teams from across campus to be able to combine cost-effective in-field sensors with global geospatial analytics and cloud-based database analytics to be able to develop new sensors on plants, and then to take the information from those sensors and reposit them in a cloud-based database so that we can create an early warning system for farmers. And so the goal of the Plant Aid database is to alert farmers about the causes of plant stress and suggest possible mitigation strategies before even those stresses become visible to the naked eye. So this has been a very successful program that we've been working with, and I'll tell you a little bit about the Extension Agent Network to be able to take these sensors and apply them out to the field. So again, this project was really amazing because we could create a postage-sized stamp that punches little tiny needles into a leaf, and you can collect DNA and to be able to extract information about those leaves and apply it, and be able to understand the economic impacts of the stress that the plants are being exposed to. And so, as I said before, we're working with Extension and government and our industry partners to bring this technology into production. One of our other kind of top projects is big data for better sweet potatoes, or our Sweet Apps program. And this particular program is really focused, as I said before, on our amazing sweet potato industry. So we are the largest producer of sweet potatoes in the country. And one of the big problems that our sweet potato breeders face is just the diversity of size and quality of sweet potatoes that they get out into the field. And so this team included engineers and mathematicians and plant biologists and breeders from across the state. The goal was to combine information from images of hundreds of thousands of sweet potatoes and their growth conditions to determine the factors that impact sweet potato size and shape. All right. And so this was all in an effort to increase the percentage of USDA grade 1 sweet potatoes. Because that's what we all want to pick when we go to the grocery store, is these grade 1 sweet potatoes that have a very uniform shape. So the sweet potatoes that are misshapen and are not very attractive are just as sweet and delicious in a sweet potato pie. I promise you. The problem is that a lot of our when we go to the grocery store, we don't have a tendency to pick those. And so we've been working. So researchers here at NC State have been working with sweet potato breeders to use mathematical modeling and imaging analysis to identify the best growing conditions for the most uniform shape. So this platform is a custom designed to detect shape, size, surface texture, internal composition of crop damage. All right, and then it enters a computational pipeline to improve decision-making for growers, producers, and distributors. Right. And so this was a really amazing partnership with our graduate students, our sweet potato breeders who can actually scan, 100,000 sweet potatoes per hour and produce 8 to 10 gigabytes of data per minute. So what do we do with that information to help our growers? So then we've been partnering with SAS, Internal Life Sciences, Scott Farms, and the North Carolina Sweet Potato Commission to have this program come to fruition. And as I mentioned before, we don't just partner with SAS, we have partnerships with Microsoft, BASF, Novo Nordisk, Novonesis, used to be called Novozymes, as well as Syngenta. These collaborations have been amazing and allowed us to really provide insight to how we can partner with our industry partners, but also how we can potentially provide educational opportunities for our students who wish to go into these internship into these industry, work with these industry partners. And so I mentioned the Plant Sciences Building. So the heart of the Plant Sciences Initiative, which is really to foster translational plant sciences to better the lives of our people of our state and our country, is really located here on campus in the Plant Sciences Building. This is located on Centennial campus. And really pulling this building together and building it was really a large-scale vision that a lot of our stakeholders, our growers across the state contributed to financially to. Us. A dream to really see this building come to fruition, and a dream to have it populated with scientists who do some of the amazing work that's happening here in the building and beyond. But we don't just work in this building. We have our greenhouse on the top floor and a lot of our research labs in the building. We really focus on interdisciplinarity and team-based research that moves from the lab out into the field. And so I wanted to highlight again the work of Rachel Van, who is the platform director for the Extension Outreach and Engagement platform for the PSI. And the vision of this platform is to really impact real-world agriculture and environmental sciences by connecting the work in the plant sciences to applied field issues. And so we do this by leveraging a really active and amazing North Carolina Cooperative Extension program. So we have, it's like a kind of we have, I think, the third largest, maybe the second or third largest extension program in the country. And so this program is really built to communicate with our stakeholders and our growers and connecting the work that we do at NC State with our growers and our stakeholders. And so the goal of this platform is to really serve as the conduit for engaging our growers to the PSI, establishing extension as a foundation for all PSI project and activity. So we don't just want to do work here in the building in a vacuum. We really want to understand what are the issues of the growers, and then how can we develop new science and new technology, how can we use science and develop new technologies to address those problems. We really want to, again, leverage the North Carolina Plant Sciences Initiative infrastructure to drive greater faculty, staff, and student engagement with extension programs. Here's Rachel out in the field. Again, as I said before, she was also a soybean extension specialist. And so a lot of our growers probably recognize that she travels all over the state, educating our growers. She has helped to foster and grow a really exciting grower advisory council, as well as the Extension Agent Network. So the goal of these two programs is to really execute our mission and achieve our vision, which is really key for applying the expertise here on campus out into the field, right? And so the Grower Advisory Council provides guidance on the relevance of scientific research to production systems in the field, right? And so what we do is we bring our Grower Advisory Council to a building, and we go out to the field to our Grower Advisory Council to get an idea of what are the issues that actually growers are facing. So Sue Leggett, Bo Stone, Bert Limkis, Danny Pierce, Reggie Baker, and Isaac Boerma are actually members of our Grower Advisory Council. And we really rely heavily on them to give us an idea of what the problems that the growers are facing. And they've done an amazing job to help us be able to connect our science to what's happening out in the field. We also have an amazing extension agent network. And so this is a network of NC extension agents who have been learning about the technologies that are occurring, we are developing in the PSI, and beta testing those technologies. And we do this so that they can help to really kind of facilitate the movement of technology from the lab out to the field. They also host PSI developed technology outreach events within our counties. So they are our conduit, these extension agents are our conduits into each of the counties, and therefore our connection to the growers themselves. And the last platform is a platform that I am the director of, and that's education and workforce development. And we work closely with all of the other platforms, especially the extension platform that Rachel directs, to be able to make sure that we are really helping to train a diverse workforce and to connect interdisciplinary career pathways that help to drive innovation in plant sciences. And so our two main goals are to really work on our university relationships and to drive new collaborations with our K through 12 partners and students throughout North Carolina to get students from every age interested in plant sciences and plant science technology. Now, our second goal is to really connect our undergraduates, our graduate students, and our postdocs to new and existing programs that might pique their interest in plant sciences and hopefully better prepare them for workforce opportunities in agriculture. Circling back to our first, the first slide that I showed you about changes in workforce needs. The PSI sponsors 2 certificates, and this is because we found that there's an increasing need for data analytics. And so under the direction of Dr. Danny Jones, she created the Ag Data Sciences Certificate, which is an interdisciplinary program that applies the power of data science to agriculture, food, and life sciences. And this is open to professionals and grad students and offers 2 tracks based on your experiences in data science. It's a kind of a beginner and a more advanced track. And then under the direction of Denise and Seth Corley, we have the CERSA, which is the Center of Excellence for Regulatory Science and Agriculture. And so this is the only university level certificate program in regulatory sciences for agriculture. And so this was co-developed by our industry partners and is open to undergraduates and grad students, including non-degree seeking students, right? And so this is because many of the ag tech companies really feel like they benefit from having more training of their workforce in understanding regulatory sciences. In addition to our certification programs, we have a variety of different programs for professional development and engagement with our industry extension and growers. So for example, we have a symposium each year. This past symposium a few weeks ago was our Bridge Symposium and networking event where we brought together one student from one discipline, say for example, plant sciences, and another student from, say for example, mathematical modeling and engineering. And these 2 students would get together and talk about their individual work, but also talk about how bridges could be built between the disciplines. Here on the middle section here are our teams that we brought. We had, I think, 9 teams to give presentations. And each of the teams also had a chance to have some networking opportunity with our industry partners. We had partners from BASF, Novonesis, Elo, Baird, Hoofprint, and other biotech companies that can talk with the students. And they also helped us to sponsor prizes for the students as well. Again, trying to foster student engagement with our industry partners, but also fostering interdisciplinarity as well. We also do tours with our industry partners. So we've done a tour of Elo. We have an upcoming visit to Novonesis where we take our graduate students and postdocs. Sometimes and we actually go to the industry and we talk to them about their research and what they're looking for in terms of workforce development. And we also do this with a lot of engagement with our extension partners. For example, on the previous slide, I also wanted to point out that our extension agents were also part of our networking event for our Bridge Symposium as well. This past year, Rachel worked really hard to have a postdoc and graduate student back road tour. So this is where we actually get on the bus. Our students last year and the year before that, our faculty would get on the bus and we'll just ride to different farms and growers across North Carolina. And this is really an amazing opportunity for our students and faculty to be boots on the ground, to walk and to engage with farmers, to learn about our ag facilities and our research station. And it was amazing opportunity and help students to identify, oh, this is what it's like on a farm, or this is what I can do with our technology that I'm developing in the lab. We also have internship programs. We have an internship program for undergraduates in collaboration with North Carolina Extension, with Joseph Donaldson. And we also have an internship with the USDA. So the USDA is sponsoring 5 students who have training in artificial intelligence and mathematical modeling. And the students, they're actually paid to work with USDA research faculty across the country. So this is an amazing opportunity for students who have no experience in agriculture, but who are trained in agriculture, who are trained in data analytics to utilize their skill sets in agriculture. So this is our 2nd year running that program as well. We also have been really fortunate to have funding from donors to sponsor the research of our graduate students. We established the Norma L. Trollinger NC Plant Sciences Initiative Graduate Student Endowment Award, which is awarded by the family of Norma L. Trollinger. who was a cotton research geneticist in Texas. And she saw the need that a lot of graduate students have for financial support for their research. And so through this partnership, we were able to establish this endowment award and fund for graduate students, give them an extra bit of money to help pay for their research or to travel to a conference. And these students are plant pathologists, they are microbiologists, there are students in ag engineering, and we also have a student from electrical engineering. So again, showing you that we really think a lot about supporting interdisciplinarity and really appreciate the support of our donors. We also think a lot about what's happening at the K-12 level. Because we want to make sure that students at all ages really get excited about plant sciences, and all ages to think about, agriculture is plows and cows. That's a big part of it, but there's also a lot of need, again, a need for data analytics, a need for computer science, a need for chemistry, physics. All of these areas are what we need now for our students to be interested and engaged in, to be prepared for the ag workforce of the future. And so we have partnered with Juntos, which is a K-12 program run by Diana Urieta here at NC State for students from Hispanic and Latinx families. TRIO mainly focuses on students from underrepresented groups as well. And then the College Advising Corps, which is a program that focuses on students from low socioeconomic backgrounds in rural areas. And we bring in students from all three of these groups once a year to spend an entire day at the building. They play in the makerspace. They get to talk to faculty and students here who are currently enrolled here. They get to talk to our industry partners. They get to work in our demonstration lab and do some hands-on work in the building. And this is a great opportunity for students to see that if you're interested in modeling, you could have a career in plant sciences. If you're interested in building robotics, you can have a future in plant sciences. If you're interested in plants, you can have a future in plant sciences. So this is a great opportunity from students all across the state. We also partner with a variety of different summer camps. We don't have our own summer camp yet, but we do partner with Liz Driscoll, who is our 4-H extension education specialist, who runs our Horticulture Summer Science Institute camp. And we partnered with her to bring in students to spend a day here in the building and to work with our faculty. Howling with Cows is another program, K-12 program, run by Joanna Ingleton. We partnered with them as well as Alonzo Alexander, who runs the Imhotep program for middle school students. So we gladly have students come in, and they, for example, here, students are learning to solder together, use soldering to make a soil sensor. So we really want students to be able to get hands-on learning opportunities. We have teacher visits. We have students we have whole classes that are FFA classes, for example, that'll come and partner with us and do some of our curricular hands-on activities here in the demonstration lab. We have a very small internship program that we're trying to build up as well that'll help bring in students on a more regular basis at the K-12 level. We also participated in several community programs like Bugfest that we had an amazing time with, as well as a STEM outreach program sponsored by Catalyst, which is a program for students with learning disabilities. And so I think that's all I have, just to kind of highlight to you some of the things that we're doing at the K-12, middle school level, high school level, all the way up to the undergraduate and graduate level internships and research opportunities. And then finally out to what the research that our scientists are doing, and how that's helping to train our students to think about using new tools to address challenging problems in agriculture. So if you have any questions about ways that we can partner, you can reach me or our program manager, Sarah Dinger. I hope I didn't go over time. Chris, give you an idea.
No, not at all. This was fantastic. It was the perfect amount of time.
Oh, great. Okay.
Yeah, excellent stuff. Incredible stuff. In fact, I'll invite everybody to give you a great big round of applause wherever they're at, wherever they're watching. They can clap for you or drop some clapping hands emojis into the chat to express their appreciation for you. And I'll encourage everybody watching to drop your experiences, comments, and certainly your questions into the chat for me as well. Get those queued up so that we've got plenty of time here to have what I think will be an exciting conversation about this topic. Terri, I'm curious about how you're seeing uptake and increase in maybe attendance in some of the programs that you're working on to develop the next workforce, or in some of the learning programs, the degree programs, the certifications that you talked about? It sounds like some of them are pretty new, but as word's getting out, I'm curious about how they're scaling.
Yeah, so I don't know about the certification programs in terms of their scaling, but I would envision that they're increasing, especially as it relates to ag analytics. I can say for our K through 12 programs, we definitely have seen an increase from last year. For example, our outreach program, we've had a significant increase in the number of K through 12 students who participated in that. And we have to turn away groups of students who want to do internships and students who want to do tours and students who want to do demonstrations. So we really had to get to a point where we were like, all right, we have to, because otherwise it would consume all of our time. So we have a huge interest from teachers across the state who want their students to get access to information about technology and agriculture. And we're trying to meet that need here at the PSI, but also with working with other partners who are part of the NC State STEM ecosystem, which is basically an organization of all the K through 12 enrichment and outreach programs that are on campus. So we've been trying to meet that increased need by developing more partnerships as well. And also, our extension agent network is growing. Rachel could tell you a little bit more about that. We have more and more agents who are interested in learning about and doing beta testing and reaching out to our county partners as well.
Fascinating stuff. I guess we've talked a lot about like agriculture, and we've done some plant sciences stuff. I think even before the plant sciences building actually opened to the public a few years ago, we had a director come onto this program. There's an archived version of this somewhere where I think we did a little bit of a virtual tour of what was going to be going on.
Oh, wow. Okay.
At that space. And I remember then being so impressed with what was happening over at NC State, like the resources and the energy and the effort that was going into it and the expertise in order to really make the university, yes, but also North Carolina, a real leader in technology supporting agriculture.
Yeah, no, we've been really lucky because, this is a grassroots effort. This is from the ground up. And our stakeholders really believe in the Plant Science Initiative and the idea that we can help address those needs. And so we really think a lot about making sure that we, engage with our extension agents and we engage with our growers through our extension agent network. Because this has been, you're right, this is not just, the building opened up in 2022. And so we've been really developing programs within the last 2 years, but the dream of the PSI has been around for 8 to 10 years. And so really, being able to see some of these technologies being beta tested by extension agent networks and by growers is really kind of the culmination of a dream with many. So glad to see that, hopefully you see that, since you first had that tour, you've seen some progression. So hopefully you see that we've been making progress, and we've been developing more in partnerships with industry partners as well to make sure that we can kind of bridge that gap between industry and our growers also. So we have more and more industry partners that are reaching out for internship opportunities for students, but also ways that they can ways that we can partner with them in terms of our research. And we also have an increasing number of startup companies that are becoming a part of the Plant Sciences Initiative through through moving into the building and sharing lab space, but also partnering with us for internship opportunities for our students as well. So we really try to provide an environment, a kind of an ecosystem for technology development and entrepreneurship for our students and stakeholders.
Fascinating stuff. Cindy in the chat said that they actually went on a special tour of the PSI facility and was blown away by how incredible and unique it is. Is it possible for groups like schools or even the general public to tour the building?
Yes, so it is possible, but we get so many requests that we really have to kind of schedule it in advance. And I think we're only doing tours maybe once or twice a month or so. And so you can reach out to, there's actually a website. Our website includes, and I can put that, and I can send it to you later, Chris, but a link to how to sign up to be a part of a tour. or to host an event. We have an event manager who is amazing, Alex Fuente. He is an amazing event manager for having events with the PSI, but also potentially hosting tours. I mean, I said before, we have a demonstration lab that we host a lot of K through 12 groups and teacher groups in the building as well. So we are always excited to have students in the building and to do some hands-on work with them. But we have to schedule in advance because otherwise it's a lot.
All right. There you go. Don't just show up and start walking the
Right,
parade.
exactly. No, don't just show. Please sign up in advance. And like I said, if you can go to the website, there's actually a way that you can sign up to learn about the PSI more and do a tour.
So let's see here. From the beginning part of your presentation, when we were talking about AI specifically in agriculture, there was a comment that came in that maybe AI could make farming more difficult for small farms.
Yep.
And certainly, you know, a giant laser robot that
It's not
blasts
going to
weeds
work
out
for
of the
everyone.
ground,
Exactly.
not going to work for everybody or for
Yeah.
small producers. Can you talk a little bit about the challenges that?
Absolutely, yeah. So the Center for Environmental Farming Systems is actually housed here in the PSB as well, and they're a part of the Plant Sciences Initiative. And so they really kind of help ground us in thinking about small farmers and sustainability. And we also have a lot of communication and conversations with North Carolina A&T State University, who thinks a lot about smaller and mid-sized farmers as well. So we do think a lot. So for example, we have we recently received the Type 2 Engines, a regional innovation award from NSF to think about how we can create a region that focuses on ag technology and development in the Piedmont of North Carolina. And that is led by A&T and in partnership with NC State. And it's focused on developing technologies for small and mid-sized farmers, as well as large growers as well. So we do think about small farmers and growers and think about how we can develop technologies that are suitable for all farmers of all sizes. But that's definitely been a challenge and something that I think our partnership with SEPS has helped to kind of keep us grounded in.
You certainly raised the specter of some interesting challenges too, right there at the very beginning, with some really heavy statistics on workforce loss in farming and agriculture, and how much of the technology workforce is leading into computers and things like AI these days. At the same time that, you know, the reports on the nightly news about AI aren't always, you know, really cool robots that are doing fascinating work.
Yeah.
So I'm curious how you do see the challenge there moving forward, where we need to get a lot of people, need to turn these statistics around because we've got to grow food
Yeah.
for the world.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, go ahead on.
Well, no, you take it away. You're the expert.
Yeah, so the part of it is job opportunities, right? So how can we make sure that people from all areas of North Carolina have an opportunity for a career in their hometown? Like a lot of students don't necessarily want to leave rural North Carolina. They want to stay in their areas. So how can we make sure that one of the things that we think a lot about is how can we make sure that we are working with our faculty to train students in what the workforce needs. So how are we engaging with our industry partners to figure out, okay, what are the skills that students need to have as they leave the workforce? And then we try to match that with, okay, what do students really want to learn? And then match that with what are the requirements that are happening for example, in their hometowns. So we really think a lot about, we don't have classes here, but and I know for my class, for example, I make sure that we think about how do we partner with the industry to help students see the relevance of learning, for example, plant physiology in a classroom setting. So they can maybe see how relevant that is to their actual lives themselves. We think a lot about how do we engage with counties to help them to learn about the technology that's being developed so they can apply that technology. And then that could be a nice conduit for reaching young people to show them how the use of technology might be able to help them as they think about their careers. But all the work isn't about, robotics. Rachel is soybean extension specialist, for example. And She thinks a lot about how working with our growers to help them to have the best harvest each year. So we think a lot about engaging with our extension specialists and how we create new proposals. For example, a lot of our work is funded by the National Science Foundation. So how do we engage with our extension specialists that are our conduits to each of our counties and engage our extension specialists and therefore our counties into the research grants that we're writing, right? So how do we make sure that we can potentially fund some of the work that's happening in our counties with some of the federal research that is happening here in NC State? So we think about it from that perspective. We also, as part of the crops proposal, have included working with community colleges and creating potentially more micro-credentials and more certification programs that students from across the state can get skills, can increase their skills in agriculture and be able to use new machineries or apply new sustainable ag techniques. A lot of the community colleges are increasingly developing more ag-based programs. So we're working to hopefully partner with them to make sure that we can provide a nice pathway for students, whether they want to jump into the pathway at the community college level, at the high school level, or all the way at the professional level as well. So really working with our extension specialists and thinking about how we write grants, how to include training opportunities for our students in grants. We really, I think, help to get students up to speed in terms of the skill sets that the agriculture sector will need in the future. Because a lot of students, they don't want to do the backbreaking work. I know I didn't. I grew up on a small farm, right? But if you tell a student, well, you can get a higher paying job learning how to do something as it relates to sustainable ag or learning how to use robotics in agriculture, then you can help that student have a successful career and potentially stay in their hometown. So how can we create programs to allow students to do the work that they love in agriculture in their hometowns? That's a long answer, but hopefully I rambled and helped provided something helpful.
No, yeah, I think that was great. What's that phrase? Like a rising tide lifts all boats or something like that. So if more people in a community are getting knowledge, skills, and experience building up, then that can
everybody can rise. Exactly.
Yeah, we hope that translates into across the industry, right? Or across farming, across agriculture.
Exactly.
So that everybody's benefiting, from things like, higher paying jobs.
And it's the big issue is scalability, right? How can we develop technology that's helpful for large scale farmers and smaller farmers? That's a technological challenge that we think a lot about. And we have very skilled faculty who think a lot about scalability and applicability and the economics of new farming technologies and tools. And how then do we do that also while thinking about how we can do this in a sustainable manner? So like, for example, Chris's platform thinks a lot about natural systems and natural environments. So how do we really use our these big brains up here to do something that large growers, large farms can use, as well as small producers as well?
Well, I think the last question for today is going to have to be, once I get my vegetables planted for the season and they start coming up, can I borrow the weed killing robot?
Well, I asked the grower, I recently showed this video to a farming meeting, and I asked the grower, I was like, are people really using it? He was like, oh yeah, they're selling those machines like hotcakes. So I don't know, maybe they'll create a little small tiny version where they can help me with weeding my garden, which would be amazing, by the way. But I think the closest that I'll get to that this year is, handing some matches to my kids and saying, go out and burn the weeds out in the garden that way.
You'll have some fun. Here's a laser pointer. Go find them.
Here's a laser pointer. Here's a cigarette lighter. Good luck.
Oh my gosh.
As close as I'll get to it this year.
Well, I'll keep an eye out for that. And if you hear anybody that needs to just drive their laser tractor over some vegetables to test it, let me know.
Exactly.
I'll have one ready for
We'll do. Good luck.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that. I'll have to tune into what's going on at Plant Sciences more often and maybe gain some more insight myself on how to make this stuff work for me. Just in the backyard. Well, Dr. Long, thank you for being with us on the program today. This was fantastic, and it was great to hear about what's going on at NC State and across the state of North Carolina to improve the future for agriculture.
Absolutely. Anytime. Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure.
Agriculture and the environment, so I like it.
There you go.
We can get it all done. And thanks everybody for tuning in to today's edition of the program. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for tuning in. Of course, we'll be back here again next Wednesday at noon with another edition of the program. So don't miss out. Make sure that you are signed up for the email newsletter at eenorthcarolina.org. You can also see upcoming schedules and events for this program and many more at the museum's website, naturalsciences.org. And then, of course, we're all on social media still, so you can find us at Natural Sciences and at North Carolina EE. Get plugged in, stay connected. There's great stuff happening all across North Carolina, and we want you to be a part of it. Be a part of it with us. So thanks for tuning in today. We'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.